I believe, but help my unbelief. And you wouldn't be like, you'd be surprised how many times I've prayed that prayer. Right now I'm reading from Deuteronomy 28, verses 1 to 14. And the title of the chapter is Blessings for Obedience. If you fully obey the Lord your God and carefully follow all his commands I give you today, the Lord your God will set you high above all the nations on earth. All these blessings will come on you and accompany you if you obey the Lord your God. You will be blessed in the city and blessed in the country. The fruit of your womb will be blessed, and the crops of your land and the young of your livestock, the calves of your herd and the lambs of your flocks. Your basket and kneading trough will be blessed. You will be blessed when you come in and blessed when you go out. The Lord will grant that the enemies who rise up against you will be defeated before you. They will come at you from one direction, but flee from you in seven. The Lord will send a blessing on your barns and everything you put your hand to. The Lord God will bless you in the land he has given you. The Lord will establish you as his holy people, as he promised you an oath, if you keep the commands of the Lord your God and walk in obedience to him. Then all the peoples on the earth will see you that you are called by the name of the Lord, and they will fear you. The Lord will grant you abundant prosperity in the fruit of your womb, the young of your livestock, and the crops of your ground, in the land he swore to your ancestors to give you. The Lord will open the heavens, the storehouse of his bounty, to send rain on your land in season and to bless all the work of your hands. You will lend to many nations, but will borrow from none. The Lord will make you the head, not the tail. If you pay attention to the commands of the Lord your God that I give you this day and carefully follow them, you will always be at the top, never at the bottom. Do not turn aside from any of the commands I give you today, to the right or to the left, following other gods and serving them. And the second half of this chapter, I'm not going to go through it, but it's called Curses for Disobedience, and it's basically the inverse of that chapter. The last 6 months, I feel like that chapter, I've read it many times, and I've been just pondering on it and thinking, like, what is this? Like, that sounds pretty special. Blessed coming in, blessed going out. You will be the head and not the tail. And throughout that chapter, it talks about if you obey the commands of the Lord your God. Now, that's from the Old Testament, so we're not living under the law anymore. But there is this concept of living a life of obedience and faith, which is like acting in faith is obedience, and living this life of obedience. That those promises will follow us. So that's not a lottery ticket, like, oh, if I get the right lottery ticket numbers, all these good things will happen. It's a principle in the Bible that's blessings on obedience. And so today we're going to be talking about, what is that like, living a life of obedience, living a life of faith, and walking your faith out in your business, in your relationships, in every part of our life. When we're talking about obedience, it flows to every part of our life, everything. So when we have a posture of our heart, and I believe God cares, it's said all throughout the Bible, God cares about our heart. Our outward actions will come. God cares about our heart. And when we have a position of our heart that says, it's all yours, everything. So when we're talking resources, we always equate resources to money. It's not just money. It's my gifts. It's my financial resources, sure. Also, like, my days left on earth. That's a resource that we have. If I have 50 years left, 30 years left, 2 days left, I don't know. But those are all God's. Everything is God's. And when we live our life with a posture that it's all his, those blessings will follow us. And you don't do it for that reason. It's just like when it comes to tithe and giving and stuff like that. You don't give to get from God, but it's principles of, you live a life of obedience, I will bless you. And I think it sounds simple, similar to some of the other concepts we've talked about. It sounds simple. Practically, it's not that simple, because fear wants to come in the way all the time. Like, when we're looking to live out of faith, live a life of faith, fear is the biggest hindrance to living out of faith. Fear, it can come in hundreds of different forms. So if we let that fear inhibit our ability to walk in faith, then I think that's when we start getting into the, almost like the curses of disobedience. Sounds awful, but it's some people would probably read that and say, oh man, I kind of feel more like the second part of the chapter than the first. Well, they could probably look back to say, okay, well, where am I not walking in faith? And it's not out of maliciousness. It's usually being like that we've let fear make the decisions in our life more than the faith. And that like the Bible talks about, I mean, faith is all through the Bible, but it talks about like faith without works is dead, right? So there's that, like, okay, I have faith, now walk, like take action in that faith. There's one. There's another one. It's impossible without faith. It's impossible to please God. So this faith concept is weaved through the Bible, and it's so important to like this. And like I said, having that posture of our heart, that if our heart is, if the posture of our heart is towards faith and walking in faith, that pleases God's heart. There's nothing more pleasing to the Lord than us walking in our faith. There's this verse that I love, and I'm not going to get it exactly, but the concept will be there, and the story. But it was the guy that was asking Jesus to heal his daughter, and he said, "I believe, but help my unbelief." And you'd be surprised how many times I've prayed that prayer. Father, I believe, but help my unbelief. And I think it's such a, like, it's almost an oxymoron how it contradicts itself, but it's such a beautiful verse on what we all go through. I believe, but help my unbelief. And I think when if you can pray that, God will answer that and help give you the faith to be able to keep moving forward. And then then you put that in the bank and keep, and then like you just keep moving forward. Next thing you know, you're taking steps of faith that were never, like, that you 5 years ago you never would have thought possible. Oh, this would have crippled me, but yet you kept, it's like the same as working out, right? If you want to bench press 300 pounds, don't start with 300 pounds. I'd start with 50. That's, and hopefully work my way up from there. But it's the exact same thing with faith. And then you get back, it's like, wow, I remember when I couldn't lift 60 pounds and now I'm doing 300. It was all just incremental, 2 pounds at a time, maybe a step backwards, 2 pounds at a time. And then next thing you know, you're doing things you never thought. Peter walking on water, why did he stop being able to walk on water? Fear. He looked down at the waves, and it was that fear, that's when he sunk in. And I mean, that's such a metaphor for stuff we all experience every day.
Yeah, totally. Like you don't ride your bike looking straight down at the front wheel. Like you kind of have to believe that the ground is going to be there as you go. Like almost just assume God is making the earth to meet your feet as you walk. Like you just have to keep going forward.
Yeah.
And he will.
Well, that's like what I mentioned to you earlier about that verse, like God's word is a lamp unto my feet and a light into my path. And if you think about that, the lamp to your feet and the, a flashlight or whatever, it only goes so far. And I think that's where we just keep taking steps, right? Okay, I see what's the step in front of me, take the step. We don't always know the end, but all that can change anyways. Like, and again, go back to COVID. Look what COVID showed us, how like all these things that were so that we, in especially in Canada, North America, it takes so much security and all of a sudden started to erode. Like, even like you could just see how quickly life can change, and you go from kind of having all the answers and not worrying about anything to like, oh wow, like what's going to happen with, from all our health, the way the governments reacted and everything, like just so much changed so quickly. And it really showed us like, hey, we live in a fragile world. And so when that fragility is shown to us in such a stark way, that's when we really have to lean on our faith. Are we going to hide in fear, or are we going to say, hey God, you're my provider, you numbered my days, like it's you. And so then that takes, like, that alone starts removing all these different fears of fear of death, fear of provision, fear of all those things start to go away. It's like, hey, if it's over for me and you want to bring me home, then bring me home. I hope that I've lived every day in your will, or at least reaching for your will. And when you can live that way, it really takes a lot of, and it's not easy. Like that, just because I have this concept, right, doesn't mean that some days I'm not crippled by fear myself or anxiety, like oh man, like that unbelief creeps into every single one of us. So this is not, you never arrive as it relates to faith and obedience in your walk with Christ. You never arrive, but we can keep going forward.